Boys rule, girls drool. Girls go to college to get more knowledge. Boys go to Jupiter to get more stupider. These are common examples and phrases of things that boys and girls are taught about each other from the time that they're little kids. And I think these are just small examples of damage that's done as they grow up. While most kids grow out of this stuff as they age, we're seeing a very strong animosity between men and women online and in the world at large in general these days. And that's a huge problem that I really want to discuss here. Hey everyone, my name's Christian Verstappen, and I have a lot to say about many things. I want to talk about the gender wars. So, growing up, and I started that, with a common phrase that, kids are taught about each other, which really teaches boys and girls growing up to otherize each other. You have things like cooties, no girls allowed, no boys allowed, all these different things, right? Um, and personally, I never had any of those like feelings toward girls. I always liked girls. I mean, I liked them just as friends or anyone else when I was a little kid, and as I grew older, of course, I started to really like girls, as is the case for a lot of men here. And I do want to say on that note, real quick as well. This discussion here is going to primarily discuss the dynamic between men and women, specifically cishet or well, yes, cishet men and women. I'm sure some of these things may apply to trans or LGBTQ people as well, but for the most part, we're talking about cishet people because that is where a lot of the discourse, the dynamic, and the gender divide is happening. So why why do we have this? Well, I think that, like I said, so from the time that we're kids, right, we're taught to otherize each other, but it's not just even in phrases like those that are harmful and directly teach kids to otherize each other, but it's also things like guys and girls have entirely different like shows and toys and stuff that they're allowed to like watch and play with and consume and all these different things. And when you look at the type of toys that like men are allowed to play with growing up, it's things like, action figures and stuff having to do with, maybe superheroes and violence and battle and all these different things. Now, whereas with women, it tends to be things like, baby dolls, easy bake ovens, little fake makeup kits, all these different things. And I think there is something to be said there in far as how the types of toys that boys and girls have growing up are definitely designed and given to them to condition them, men for battle and for war, women for to be pretty and to be homemakers and things of that nature. And I want to be clear, there's nothing wrong with either of those things or conditioning kids as their kids to be used to those kind of things or have some sort of reverence or interest in those kinds of things. But I think a lot of the issue, and we again see it as people are very young, a lot of the issue is where we have things where like there are certain things that guys have to do and or aren't allowed to do, and there are certain things that girls have to do and or aren't allowed to do simply because of their assigned gender at birth. Um, I remember when I was a little kid, and there's a Rugrats episode about this as well, where I had mentioned the fact that sorry, I wasn't a little kid. I was in high school, and I had mentioned in like our history class when we were talking about like how I don't know something about clothing or whatever, but whatever. I mentioned in class one time about how basically I find it really interesting, really odd that like girls are allowed to wear jeans and stuff that are often associated with men. However, if a guy wears like a dress or a skirt, oh, that's really, feminine and like they're going to think that they're either, trans or maybe they're a femboy as we have now, these different things. And my teacher just responded with, "Do you want to wear a dress?" Which, of course, got the whole class laughing. And me personally, no, I don't want to wear a dress. But I think that that to have that viewpoint is very limited. Personally, no, I don't want to wear a dress. I've never had any issue with the clothes that men are supposed to wear, nor have I had any issue with my gender identity or expression or anything of that nature. Um, but I think it's really interesting how when girls are growing up, they're allowed to be more expressive about their gender. We have girls and even women now who are allowed to allowed, for lack of a better way to put it, to have shorter hair, wear jeans, wear more masculine outfits, wear suits, all these different things. But again, we don't have men wearing dresses or having really long hair or wearing makeup or anything like that. I mean, and again, it really does start when you're a kid. A guy, well, okay, a girl who is into sports is seen as a hero by their dad. But a guy, I keep messing those two up, a guy who wants to get into baking or ballet or something, often gets from men, oh, no son of mine's gonna do that. What are you, a fairy? What are you this? What are you? It's like, dude, holy shit, calm down. Just let kids be kids, right? And the thing is, when kids are growing up and they are learning to express themselves and understand themselves, I do think that in general they should have the world should be their oyster. Kids are curious and they're interested in all kinds of different things. And again, I want to be perfectly clear. I was never interested in makeup or lipstick or I like any of that stuff personally. And I'm not saying that I think every young boy needs to experience that or anything like that. That's not what I'm getting at. What I'm saying is girls and guys growing up should both be allowed to like experiment and express themselves in different ways without having to conform to some very rigid binary standard. There's a notion, a stereotype that a lot of people have where they think that more conservative people are more attractive. I think Brett Cooper even did a video of are conservative women hotter? Which, on average, no. A lot of conservative people that you have the people that are specifically conservative about their beauty standards and are trying to adhere to conventionally attractive standards, both men and women, and that's great. And yes, those people do tend to be more attractive. But you also have plenty of people who are just gross, slobbish, don't look anything remotely attractive at all, and those are also conservatives. I don't really buy into the idea that liberalism or conservatism necessarily makes people want to be more or less attractive or anything like that. There are women, of course, especially who will do the kind of anti-male gaze thing. Like you had women who wouldn't shave their pits in the 70s and stuff, and the bra burning and all those different things. But you always have where people eventually go back to wanting to be conventionally attractive because we want to be attractive to one another. And on that note, one thing I want to say about that is, what you do with your body and your body hair and stuff, that's up to you personally. And this is a thing, right? Where, as a dude, I shave my pits just because I don't like hairy pits. I don't like hair anywhere except for my hair and my facial hair, right? I mean, I also have it on my arms and legs because that's seen as a masculine trait. And that's kind of what I wanted to get at with that as well. Myself personally, I only became wanting to intentionally appear to be more masculine as I actually got more left leaning. And now that I'm it's really interesting, but for me, as I started really taking inventory in myself and everything and redefining myself, which part of that was also because of more I would say leftist or liberal mentalities or whatever. I decided that I wanted to become more masculine. Not for any specific I mean, for the specific reason that I wanted to have I don't know. I wanted to the main thing, and I think, and this kind of segues into my next point. The main thing is that I think people in general, I know myself, want to be attractive to those that they find attractive. There's this huge conversation about the male loneliness epidemic, and that is a real problem. But it's not a problem because men just aren't getting laid or can't find girlfriends or anything like that. The loneliness epidemic is more specifically because of the fact that men on average are not being able to attract the women that they find attractive. That is what it ultimately comes down to. Anybody can get laid. Anybody can find a date. But why why is it that women don't struggle with this as much as men? Very simple. Like I said, from the time that they are children, they are taught how to be attractive and how to appeal to, as many people will call it, the male gaze, which I kind of feel like the terms male gaze and female gaze should be retired at this point, because the more that I hear people using them, the more that it feels like they don't really mean anything. people used to use the term male gaze to basically mean anything that men find attractive, is essentially what it means. And they also said it as if it was a bad thing. But the reality is, people generally want to be attractive to those that they find attractive. Women generally want to be seen as attractive to men if they like men, and men generally want to be seen as attractive to women if they like women. The problem is, women, again, from the time that they are little girls, taught how to do that with things like the makeup and the hair and the dressing nice and all those different things that are ingrained into them, and men don't have that. Men in general, from the time that they are kids, are not taught at all how to be attractive to women. And men also generally have this struggle where they don't know, and they get all this like conflicting advice. Like, a lot of times women will just say, if you like ask a woman, oh, what do you find attractive in men, or you'll see like, women talking about it online or whatever, find attractive in men, and they'll say like, oh, he's got to have a nice personality, he's got to be really sweet and really like all these different things. And it's like, okay, those are internal traits that you want in a long-term partner. Those are not physical characteristics that make you sexually attracted to the person. And the reality is, this is also why you have things like the friend zone and stuff, which is uh, kind of a lie, but there's some truth to it. Where basically, you have like people that are, emotionally and such attracted to each other, but they're not physically and sexually attracted to each other. Now, obviously, there are people who are ace and just don't have sexual attraction at all, from my understanding. I don't really know how it works. I'm like the furthest thing from that. But point is, you have this whole thing where, again, women know what to do to be attractive to men, and men don't know what to do to be attractive toward women. And oftentimes, when they ask women, this is why you have all these like dude bros that'll say, like, oh, you don't ask a fish how to catch fish, you ask a fisherman. Where like you'll ask a girl, and if they say those things, it's like, okay, that's great, but like, how should I do my hair? How should I dress? How should I style myself? How should I present myself? Because women know how to do these things. They know how to walk, they know how to move their hips, they know how to use their voice, they know how to use their hair, how to style themselves, what parts of their body men typically find attractive, all these different things. And men don't know these things because women don't talk about them. Women aren't honest about them. And this leads into another point. We really need to be honest as a society about that women like sex. And we need to give space for women to be honest about the fact that they do enjoy sex, and that they have things that they find sexually desirable in men. I have this theory that, and there's no like basis for this, is just a theory that I have, that women are actually more interested in sex from a biological standpoint than men, but have been socially conditioned to not talk about it as much because it was a way to control women, right? A woman that's not going to be too picky about her partners or sleep around or whatever is going to allow men who wouldn't have a chance with her otherwise more of a chance with her, right? So, but that's just a theory. There's no basis on that or anything. It's just something that I think could, potentially be the case. Um, However, what I do know is the case is that women can be absolutely filthy when they talk about men. If you think locker room talk is bad with men and how they talk about women, locker room talk with women can be really, really bad. And I don't mean bad as in like it's bad. I mean bad like naughty, like, oh, you're not supposed to talk about that kind. It's it's very sexually charged is what I'm getting at. If you're ever interested in this, I don't know if everybody would have this opportunity, but like, I have been in office spaces where women, normally around like middle age or so, have talked about like male celebrities like Brad Pitt and others that they find attractive. And the things you will hear women say about these guys are insane. Like, it's just, if you ever think, oh yeah, no, women don't like muscles, women don't aren't interested in sex, or all these different things, you would be extremely mistaken. I think that, like, on average, if people were encouraged to be honest about what they find attractive, emotionally, physically, everything in a partner, we would have a much better time finding partners. This isn't really something that the LGBTQ community deals with so much because, from what I've heard, gay people and trans people and such tend to be more, well, just open about what they find attractive and open about people that they find attractive, as far as like asking someone out or what have you, or just hooking up or any of those things. And on that note of hooking up, the concept as well that men are like heroes if they can like sleep with a bunch of women, but women are seen as like damaged goods or some bullshit if they sleep with, really, for some, even one other guy, is like inherently counterintuitive. I believe very much that, again, like I said, if we encourage people to be honest and just go for what they find attractive, whether that be a long-term relationship, a hookup, whatever it is, like, I think we would be in a much better situation with this. And I don't think that men or women or anybody should be shamed for being, sexually promiscuous, adventurous, any of those kind of things. If you're single or in a non-monogamous relationship, and you have those terms agreed upon with your partner, by all means. Obviously, if you're in a monogamous relationship, yeah, infidelity is terrible, but that's not what people are worried about when they talk about things like, body count and things of that nature, right? But it's really weird how we are about these things, how just the conversation about men and women are about these kind of things. Women, it's at the point where like women often understand, a, not to talk about their past with a partner, but also, if they're asked, to lie. That's why the idea has, if like, the three is the like safe answer. Apparently people think if a girl is asked her body count, um, which I'm not even sure if I even really like referring to it as body count, because it's like, we're not talking about people you've killed. We're talking about like your sexual partners, like, and I mean, like, past the point, like, who would really even keep track of that? I don't know. It's one of those things that men are very insecure about, and it's something that I think is just insane. You'll find, by the way, that the things men are most insecure about are the things they have no control over, like, um, a girl that they're with, her sexual past, their height, and their dick size. All three of these things we can't control. There are a lot of, there is a level of um, perpetuation that women have in regards to this when you see, like, on dating profiles, or even just women on, like, I don't know, street interviews or whatever, that'll say things like, oh, man's got to have, like, what is it, six figure, 6 foot 6 inches, something like that, right? Or six pack, 6 foot 6 inches, one of those, or all four, whatever. um you'll have guys, being very insecure about things like that. And one of the things I think is, like, if it helps, it's something that, helped me get over that, like, insecurity, is, first of all, in regards to like body count, it doesn't fucking matter. And like, just assume any girl you find attractive, she's been with like 100 guys, like 100 plus guys. Why? Because it doesn't fucking matter. When you abstract the number that far, it's like, okay, it doesn't. If I'm just going to assume every girl I find attractive has been with like a ton of guys, what does it matter? You know what I mean? And on that note, I think that having more experience should only really be seen as a good thing, because you're like, well, like, what do you, don't you want your partner to like be good in bed? Don't you want, you get like, yeah, like, don't you want to be like fulfilled in that way and have like that kind of relationship with your partner? I don't know. I never understood the like, fear, and I mean, I've had that, like, anxiety to an extent as well, and I understand it comes from a place of like, feeling inadequate and like you're not gonna live up to it or whatever. But I think another thing that it comes from, and I understand it very much in this regard, is if it's FOMO, as far as like, if you're like with a partner and they have like a, very sexually adventurous past, but with you they're like a starfish, or a plank of wood, or whatever it is. I completely understand that mentality, because like, if someone tells you like, oh yeah, I was wild, I was crazy, I was doing all kind of different things, I had sex all the time, and then with you they're like nothing. It's yeah, that can be like extremely disheartening. And on that note, though, that's just a level where you and your partner just aren't compatible. And yeah, that's a valid reason to see other people. Nothing wrong with that. But what I would be more interested in is how those sexual partners occurred. For example, you've been with like 50 to 100 plus people or whatever. Okay, great. Were you single? Were you non-monogamous? Like, what was the situation? Now, if those were, if a lot of those or most or all or whatever were a result of infidelity, then it's like, okay, you have a history of cheating on your partners. That's probably not good. That's definitely a red flag. But other than that, I mean, somebody's past is their past. Unless they have like some STD that they need to tell you about, it really doesn't matter what their past is. And in regards to those other things that men are often insecure about, guys, first of all, if you're like, I don't know, 5'9", 5'10", 5'11", 5'8", anything like that, you're a pretty average height. You don't have to worry about, like, on average, women are not going to not want to be with you just because of your height. Yes, there will be, women online who will, say horrible things, or they'll like, you know, whatever it might be, in regards to, you'll see like really harsh dating profiles and stuff like that. But guys do that same kind of thing where they'll do like, oh, if you're over like 120 pounds or whatever, like, don't bother, right? All these different things, right? And I do think that there is an unfair double standard in regards to like it being socially acceptable to like make fun of short guys, but not socially acceptable to make fun of like fat women. I don't think either should be made fun of. I mean, everybody's got their own life, their own journey, their own reasons for being the way that they are. For the love of God, do not do that fucking like knee breaking surgery where your legs are extended and you're like, you have to like learn to walk again and everything. Don't do that. And guys, no matter what any of those stupid ads say, there is no way to increase your dick size. It's just not going to happen. Whatever you have is what you have. And if you are on the smaller side, as far as actually pleasuring a woman in that way, you got your tongue, you got your fingers. Don't be afraid of toys either. Don't be afraid of toys, even if you're bigger or average or whatever it might be. Just be more, you know, be open to experimenting and exploring different things. It's something that I struggled with in my last relationship was where I I felt how do I want to phrase this, like yeah, I felt insecure when my girlfriend wanted to like use a blindfold or like use a toy frequently and things like that, even though I was the one that introduced the toy in the first place. It was just like all these different things. It was I don't know, it was just all these different things. But my point with this is that the things you have about yourself or the things about your partner that have happened, you cannot control, and there's no reason like getting sad and like insecure and things of that nature. And with all of that said, in regards to women and men in general having this hostility with dating each other, a lot of people are just broken. A lot of people are just broken and have dated people that have really hurt them, and they take that hurt out on others. Myself, my ex fiance cheated on me and got knocked up with another dude's kid. I didn't want kids in the first place, so I mean, I, you know, but we broke up. I dumped her, and this, but this experience never like made me jaded toward women in general. And with people, when you have bad experiences, you don't need to like put that on everybody else. Like a lot of guys have just had one or a couple really shitty girlfriends that have taken advantage of them or that have been even physically abusive to them or something like that. Because yes, physical abuse, domestic abuse does occur for men as well. And it's a real issue that often goes overlooked or again, made fun of when it happens to a man, especially if it's a woman causing it. And in regards to women, well, both really. You gotta be, careful to an extent about who you actually date or hook up with or whatever it is, who you have any kind of romantic or sexual relationship with. You can't, you know, you there comes a point where you have to look at yourself and say, why am I either not attracting the people that I want to, or attracting the wrong people? And take a step and look back, take a step back and look at yourself and say, what am I doing that is attracting those people? What can I do to attract the people that I want? And how do I stop falling for these people that, either only want me for my body, or only want me for my money, or only want me for whatever else it might be, right? Because these are real issues that a lot of people have, but a lot of guys and girls just have had bad experiences with people that they've dated and have then put that on like all men or all women in general, and it just isn't fair to them, and it's certainly not fair to yourself. You deserve love, you deserve happiness. I believe that we all do. So, but I do want to say on that note as well, if you are single, I am myself, there's nothing wrong with that. We place a lot of pressure on people, especially in America, and I would say kind of Western society in general. We place a lot of pressure on people to get married and have kids and things like that. Personally, like I said, I don't want kids, but I do want to be. I don't know if I want to be married, but I definitely want at least a long-term girlfriend, um, and someone who I just spend the rest of my life with, and we have a beautiful relationship with. Um, but if you are if you are single for any reason, yes, you do need to kind of acknowledge why you're single. And if you're not, if you're okay with it, by all means, you're okay with it. You're like, and I think if you're good with being single, if you're fine with that, the world is your oyster. Like, that is the best position you can be in. But if you want to be in a relationship, or you want sexual or romantic partners, then, and you're not having those, then you need to figure out what it is about yourself that is, again, either attracting the wrong people or not attracting the people that you want to attract. Simple as that. Once you figure out those things, you need to be able to move forward and implement changing yourself in such a way that still aligns with who you are as a person. I'm not saying, and a lot of people will do this kind of thing too, where they'll think, oh, just be yourself, or oh, I need to change this, and they'll go completely in one direction or the other, and it's like, no, dude, you need to like you need to take attractive traits that you can use to improve yourself, but do them in such a way that still suits you. You don't want to completely change yourself and try to like be somebody you're not, but you can absolutely change attributes of yourself that make you more attractive and still align with who you are. Maybe it's dyeing your hair, maybe it's whitening your teeth, maybe it's growing facial hair, getting a tan, whether it be fake or real. I'm talking about the things that I've done that I've done personally. Maybe it's getting in shape, something I'm currently working on. Maybe it's the way that you present yourself, the way you speak, the way that you your cadence, or your uh like your body language, and all these different things. There are many different things that you can do to improve yourself. And the key is, you want to do things that improve yourself in a way that is still being honest to you. And really, what that comes down to is just simply, if you try something, do you like it? Like myself, I naturally have more of a reddish brown hair, kind of auburn. And yet I dye my hair because I was called Ginger growing up all my life, hated it, and didn't want to be called Ginger anymore, and just wanted to kind of appeal to the more kind of like, kind of, I don't know, just cool guy. I don't know. Black hair just suits me. What can I say? Black's my favorite color because I can't pick just one color. And when I was choosing between if I wanted like brown or blonde or whatever else, I eventually decided, you know what? Fuck it, I'll do black. So but that's me, right? And the other things that I do for myself are for myself. The things that you do, that you can try different things that might make you more attractive, and just do those things. For me, I also like grew out facial hair and styled my hair differently. All those different things. I had like the kind of long hair emo bangs for a long time, the Bieber hairstyle, if you will, which I also hate being compared to him. But I did those things, and but those are things that for me like suit me internally, as far as like who I envision myself to be, and who I'm like trying to become and all these different things. But if if someone tells you like, oh, you need to get a buzz cut, or like, oh, you should actually grow your hair out, or you should whatever, or you should wear this whatever clothing, and it doesn't vibe with you, then don't do it. Like, I'm never gonna wear like, I don't know, what are they called, Chicos or whatever. Those like, I'm never gonna wear like athletic pants or any kind of like sportswear or whatever, because it's not my cup of tea. As I get in shape and eventually have muscles worth showing off, I want to wear like sleeveless shirts. But again, that suits me. If something that people are telling you to do that might make you more attractive or whatever, um, don't suit you, then don't do it. It really is as simple as that. And on that note, in regards to advice in general, I think men and women broadly are given so much conflicting advice from so many different people that we're all just extremely confused. There was a huge push from this kind of pop feminism thing where we had things like with the Me Too movement and things like that. We had discussions on consent, which were good, but we also had things where a lot of people think that it is bad or objectifying to like look at a woman they find attractive and acknowledge they find her attractive. Now, I'm not saying you should catcall or stare at a woman or anything like that. Those things are like fucking chill, dude. But there's nothing wrong with just finding someone you find attractive, and there's nothing wrong with approaching them and trying to ask them out, hit on them, get their number, take them home, whatever it might be. But there was this huge push in like the early to mid 2010s where a lot of guys really did think that it was problematic to just find women attractive. This goes back to things like the male gaze and stuff. You had people complaining, like Anita Sarkeesian would go and like deconstruct women in like all these like video games and stuff, and how they were problematic because like a chick had like a nice ass or something in a video game, and it was like, all right, like calm down. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with appealing to people's desires and things that they like. And again, I think that that's something that men and women should be taught to from the time, or taught how to do from the time that they are a young age. Obviously, you're not gonna, focus on like, muscles and ass and stuff, or tits or whatever when like, someone's like a kid, obviously. But the notion of, encouraging kids to, you know, just take care of themselves and to be like well put together and stuff, so that by the time they are adults they are able to be more attractive to those that they also find attractive and want to gain the attention of, that's only a good thing. And my answer to the male gaze or objectification has always been to just simply, instead of like removing hot women from media or even real life to some extent, just have examples of attractive men as well, so that for one, girls and women have eye candy, but also so that men are shown examples of how to actually be attractive toward women. And again, we have to encourage women to be honest about what they find attractive and give them space to be honest and to be vocal about what they find attractive. Women know what men find attractive. Men tell them gladly online when they aren't attractive. Women don't do that with men. And I'm not saying that women should be harassing men or men should be harassing women or anything like that, but there should be an understanding on what each gender tends to find attractive with the other. Obviously, there's going to be room for variance. For example, like people will talk about how, like, oh, women don't look good with like short hair, for example, or like, small tits or something. One of my best friends, he loves women with short hair, curly hair, small tits, all those different things. And when it comes to things that guys tend to present that women do find attractive, yeah, a lot of girls will say like, oh, I like dad bods and stuff, but they don't mean what a lot of guys think when they think dad bod. They don't mean that they like like a beer belly or something like that. A guy who's trimmed, shredded, whatever, all these different things, is going to definitely get more play than a guy with a dad bod. That's just how it's going to be. But again, this isn't something where like you should even like, don't take my word for it. Look at how like women are, like how they actually react to attractive men, or look at how men are when they are like a backup dancer for a woman or in a music video. I talked about this recently in a video that I did, but a good example of this is like Charlie XCX's Boys, or another example is that song by, oh god, what's the band with Fifth Harmony, the one Work. All the dudes and like looking like construction workers and stuff, like they are there to just be hot for women that enjoy looking at the male form, and there's nothing wrong with that. Just like there's nothing wrong with women being there for men that like looking at the female form, so on and so forth. There's nothing wrong with any of these things. And I think at the end of the day, the big issue with all of this is that these issues became more than just men and women having incongruities and things where they are lacking understanding with each other, but it turned into this thing where we it is seen as bad or problematic to be a man who is open about their attraction to women, where it was seen as like progressive or some bullshit to like shit on men and all these different things, and talk about how like all men are trash, kill all men are predators, all these different things, right? And the reality is there are many reasons why men and women unfortunately struggle with understanding each other, and I think a lot of the things that I addressed um, could definitely serve to um, fix some of those incongruities and help us understand each other more. But at the same time, these the issues should not be moralized. Like, it shouldn't be seen as a moral thing because you uh, like it should never have been turned into a thing to like make men feel bad about simply liking women, but it was moralized to this extent where men were just made to feel bad about it. It's something that I still struggle with to this day. Now, it doesn't help the fact that I come from a Christian background and also learned a lot of purity culture and things like you know um to lust after a woman is to commit adultery with her in your heart and stuff like that. And by the way, on that note, a lot of progressive language from this pop feminist era was very much purity culture wrapped up in progressive language. When you look at things like, oh, like don't look at a girl, don't approach a girl, like all these different things, it doesn't matter, like all that. It's like, well, okay, we're just doing purity culture, like wanting girls to like cover up either in real life or media or whatever. It's like, okay, we're just doing purity culture. Like, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? So um, but at the end of the day, like these shouldn't be issues that are moralized. These should just be issues where men and women come together and say, "Hey, I want to find people that I find attractive, and those people tend to look like you. Let me do what I can to help you better understand people that tend to look like me, who you also find attractive, and let's work together to find what makes each other attractive and how we can come together and just enjoy life and find partners together and just yeah just enjoy life together and just go through life and find somebody that we love and who like emotionally and sexually fulfills us and we just enjoy life with you know but at the end of the day, I do think it really just comes down to like how it is with everything, where the answer to like hatred and anger and jealousy and like all these things, the answer to all of this is just understanding, just listening to each other, understanding each other, and coming to a place where we can see the other person's perspective and start working toward that in such a way that we can just find people we like and enjoy spending life with. So, as always, these are just my thoughts. Let me know what yours are in the comments down below. Follow me on social media for more. Subscribe and ring the bell to stay up to date. Leave a like if you like. And if not, I hope you find something to do like. Later, guys. Peace and love.